Hello, everybody.
Hello guys, how are you doing?
Thank you to Coach Ariel and Coach Percy for having us on Kingdom Talk today.
Yeah.
We are hoping that you are all making the most of this opportunity that's been available to you. You know, it's crisis for other people, but for kingdom citizens, it's to look at the opportunities that God's giving you to
Mm.
make the most of this time.
Yeah.
No, He didn't create this, but He's given you the ability to make the most of this time. So you take advantage of that. Now, our mentor Trista Sue tells us tell your story. So a little bit about my background, because that actually is the foundation for where we started Kenley College. My great uncle or granduncle, my grandfather's brother, was a part of what was called the Magnificent Six. They were the first six black men to be elected to parliament in the country I was born. And my grandfather was also a member of parliament, so he was involved in government and politics as well. My grandmother, her interest in politics and involvement in politics was more behind the scenes. So her home was like the hub for these young politicians to meet and have political debates and discuss topics that were affecting the nation. And in that house, and wasn't known at the time, but would come a deputy prime minister, members of parliament, a governor general. Now, my aunt has interestingly recently been appointed as an ambassador for the country, and that has carried on the line with the government and politics. I got involved when I was 16. I started university. Started on my degree very young, and so I was coordinating student government elections. And when I finished my PhD at 24, I found myself being asked to be a part of an advisory committee to the government on a national rollout of a program across the country. And that wasn't even the country I was born in. Fast forward a little bit, and I was in different meetings with government officials representing a country I wasn't born in, and it was happening so much, and I found myself saying to the Lord, why is this happening to me? I don't understand it. Well, I didn't understand it because at that time I did not understand my purpose. I didn't have a vision for my life. I just thought this was really strange that you have this young person without all of this experience, but yet she's representing a country. So that's a little bit of the family background. So when we started to look at our purpose and we started to look at our vision in particular and recognize that all of those experiences that I had, still hadn't considered my family yet, all of the experiences that I had being young and in positions of influence in government, all of those were a part of shaping the destiny for my life. And so Kenley College came out of that, offering short courses, accredited courses, coaching and consultancy services, but we serve a very specific group of people under 30, primarily those are under 30, who want to develop the leadership skills for public life. So they are going into government and politics. They may be already young politicians, already operational, or they're aspiring to go into government or politics. Now, a few things that are important for us is teaching those time-tested leadership principles and helping those younger leaders know how to lead with integrity and authenticity and how to think for themselves, which is big because there's a lot of pressure on politicians of all ages, but particularly those young politicians, to follow a certain agenda. This is what we are all going to be supporting, and you are strange if you aren't a part of the political bandwagon. And whether that's regarding certain specific issues, or that's because of your race or gender or whatever group they want to put you in, and so you have to think a certain way, we want to get them out of that and recognize that they're here for a purpose.
But to recognize that they are unique and they bring something special to the table.
Yes, definitely. So looking at how they'll create sustainable solutions for their nations. And that's basically helping them to tie into their vision. Now, responsibility and power, it's important. And you will see, even when you look through the Bible, there are people who started out in government office at a young age, and they had to take on responsibility and power. If you look through the history of what was going on with the Israelite kings, they were taking on responsibility and power, but some of them didn't know how to handle it because they were so young. So there was somebody who was put in as a sort of mentor over them and to help them until they were in the position to be able to think like a king.
But then you had people like David and Solomon who were already prepared for that position.
Yes, because they recognized what they were supposed to do from they were young, and they were being prepared for it. So it's important for people to be able to not only know that they have responsibility and power, but one of the things that we're going to talk to you about today is managing the responsibility and power that's been entrusted to you. So we're going to focus on one biblical character in particular, because he didn't only have to deal with national crisis, he had to deal with personal crisis, and how he managed them has made him one of the greatest leaders.
Definitely. And so, as a young or aspiring leader in governmental politics, it's important to be able to manage in the midst of crisis. Crisis can happen to you either personally or politically. Now, I'll be talking about Joseph and those stages of crisis that he went through. But one of the things I wanted to let you know is that you can look at Joseph's story from a faith perspective, or you can look at it from a grace perspective, or even a prophetic perspective. But if you take the time out to look at it from a kingdom governmental perspective, you'll see such a wider view of what God wants us to see in this story. Now, Joseph was thrown in his first crisis. Literally, he was thrown in the pit by his brothers, because he shared with his brothers his dream, and those brothers just felt as if, he thought that he was going to be so much bigger than them, and they didn't think that should be happening like that. And in the same way, you can find yourself in a similar position where you share your dreams with your close family members. You share your dreams with your close friends, and they just never see you as that type of person that you should be at that level that they think maybe you'll be above them, you'll be greater than them. So they're not accepting you of being that type of person. And so the way they speak to you about it, that hurt your feeling. And so that actually throw you in a personal crisis, a psychological crisis where you're hurt, you're so hurt because of how you're treated, because you were expecting much better from them. And so you as a leader, you should be able to reach to that place where you can overcome these different type of psychological crisis that will come to you, so that you'll be able to see much clearer as you go forward. Now, Joseph was then sold to some merchants, and those merchants sold Joseph to Potiphar. Potiphar recognized the gift, the talents, and the management skills that Joseph had, and so he gave Joseph the management, or to be a steward over everything that he owned, except his wife. Now, Joseph was in Potiphar's house, taking care of everything. His Potiphar's wife decided to try to seduce him, and she tried to do it a number of times. But Joseph decided that this is not something that he wanted to do. And so the last time she tried it, she grabbed onto his clothes, he ran off, and he held the clothes in her hand. So she actually had evidence.
Evidence?
Yeah, evidence that Joseph did something wrong there.
What type of evidence was that?
Well, I guess evidence that just wasn't true.
False evidence appearing real.
Definitely, that's it. And so there are three things we can look at here that caused Joseph to stand strong as a man during this circumstance here. Joseph, Joseph, Joseph had character, he had integrity, and he had values. And for what we have learned from Dr. Miles Monroe is that character is dedicated to a set of standards without compromise. What are the standards you set for your life personally? What are the standards you set for your life personally that will impact you in other levels of your life, in other things that you do, whatever you do as a politician? Integrity come from the word integrated, mean that you're one. Are you the same person today as you were yesterday? Are you the same when you go to church and when you're at home? Are you the same when you're at home or when you're in the parliament? Are you the same person? And then values. What does that mean? The value just basically mean what the things that you value. Now Joseph valued the relationship and the relationship he had with Potiphar and the responsibility that he gave him over his house. And he also valued, I guess he also valued a marriage. So he didn't want to get involved with Potiphar's wife. He didn't see that right in the sight of God. And so these are the three things that kept him together. And as a politician, the character, the integrity, the values are they're like foundation. They're like foundation to help you to make the right decision as a young aspiring leader in politics. Now, Potiphar must have known those the character, the integrity, and the values that Joseph had, and so he still ended up throwing Joseph in jail. But I thought, he could have killed him if he suspected that Joseph really had done this to his wife. He would have killed him. He would have killed him, but he did not. He threw him in jail and I guess just to save face. Now, being in jail, Joseph went on to show his skills, his talent, and his management skills again. And I guess if you could look at it, it's another level from managing a house to get into the jail, where the jailers saw these skills that he had and said, you know what, we're going to give you the responsibility over the jail. So you're going to run the systems inside this jail right now. There's much more people, there's much more things for him to manage at this time. So this is another level of management. And so Joseph was there. And during this time, we could look at that as another level of crisis that he took on. He went into right there, being in a prison. So being there in the prison now, Joseph, the Pharaoh sent his cupbearer and his baker to jail. Now they were there with Joseph. Both of them had dreams, and Joseph ended up interpreting those dreams for them. Joseph said to the cupbearer, "When you leave, when you get out, let the Pharaoh know about me." Joseph was inside there for a couple of years, and it's like the cupbearer didn't remember him at all. However, the Pharaoh had two dreams, and no one could interpret it. Not his magician, none of those top men could interpret it. And then the cupbearer said, "Whoa, haha! I remember. I was in jail. And this guy, Joseph, he interpreted my dreams, and it came true. And this is why I'm working with you again." And Pharaoh said, "What? I didn't. That's what happened. You know what? Send for Joseph." And they sent for Joseph. Joseph came back, and Joseph came to Pharaoh, and Pharaoh asked him, "Can you interpret my dreams?" And Joseph was bold to let him know, I can't interpret your dreams. But my God, the one that I'm in connection with, the one that I'm in relationship, will give me the ability to interpret your dream. And so Joseph was able to interpret those dreams for Pharaoh. And those dreams was basically a crisis that was just about to come. A crisis that was ahead.